Hello all, Greg Wood here, co-founder of Archivist, and I'm going to walk you through basic site navigation and some of the feature overview that we have for all campaigns. To demo, I'm going to use our own personal campaign, Questonomicon, that our group is running, but the interface and the UI is the same across all campaigns, including yours, including the demo world as well, if you would like to follow along. Before we dive into the weeds on the campaign itself and all these tabs that we will walk through, I want to get quickly oriented on some of the other elements on the UI, and then we'll dive in deep on some of the campaign-specific features. So first off, in the top navigation, hitting the logo here will bring you back to the campaigns page. So we'll hitting campaigns. That's kind of the home, your main hub for all of your campaigns if you're in numerous campaigns. Social links at the left there, of course, and then I really want to draw attention to the resources dropdown. Archivist Academy is our tutorial repository. It's where this video is going to be hosted. Our docs page, that's an external link as well. Lots of robust documentation. And then if you're running into any issues for whatever reason, you can submit a ticket via this form. And we're pretty glued to our Discord. So if you haven't joined our Discord yet either, that's a direct invite link right there in the top nav. Join us, ask a question, engage with the community. We have a good time over there as well. And then you've got some profile settings as you would like. Light mode, dark mode, you can toggle on whatever fits your preference. All right, let's go ahead and move on down to the campaign breadcrumb trail right here. This is a link back to your campaign page. This is just letting you know where we are. There's some settings from the style right here. You can go in there as you would like. Over to the right, you can publish your campaign via this toggle here. There's a link directly to it. And just so you're aware, publishing hosts the site, or excuse me, hosts your campaign on our main landing page. So you can share it with friends and family if you would like, no login required. That's a little separate than inviting some of your players to the app itself where they need to make an account. They can also interact in different ways if they're inside the app versus our landing page. The last one I'll draw attention to is this plus sign on the right where my cursor is over. There's a speed dial functionality. This is where you can add new sessions. That's the first item here. Or you can add new characters, factions, locations, if you want to manually create some of those or seed with maybe some difficult spelling entities. As we know, fantasy names can be a little challenging to spell, and of course then speech to text transcription can be difficult to spell as well. So that's where you can do that. All right, so moving down, we are again in the timeline tab here. We will walk through the other tabs after this, but let's get oriented on this page, kind of the meaty content down below. I think of the timeline tab as sort of the campaign hub itself. There's a lot of information on this page that's by design. There's some controls on the left. We'll talk through that in a moment. Of course, the campaign image is right here if you have one for your campaign. And then the sessions individually are listed down below. Hunt for Heldraxus Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Those are the names of our sessions we ran. They're collapsed by default, except the most recent one, which is at the very bottom, and I'll show you that in a moment. To show it, and you can expand it just by clicking, and then it'll show the entire timeline for that session. On the right-hand side is the sticky panel. It is by definition, it is going to show you the sessions by default. Here you can scroll down, and if you were to click to any one of these, it will then scroll you down all the way to where that session is. We have a pretty meaty campaign. So there's a lot of detail to go through for us. And so we collapse a lot of things to try to make it a little easier to navigate around. But that'll bring you right to that session itself. And then the next tabs over are your recaps. This is your campaign summary recap. Then session summary as well, another recap. This is going to be the session summary for the session we just scrolled through. So this is the Halloween Eve heist session. This is the summary of that session. If I was to scroll up and down, it's going to automatically highlight different sessions and show me the recap of that session. And just to show you real quick, you can see it moving on up, and it's kind of moving around quite a bit because a lot of these are collapsed, and so the scroll observer is trying to keep up. But it'll naturally keep up with where you are interacting with your timeline. The other tabs over here are entities. These are the characters, factions, and locations that were found and surfaced in your session itself. And then lastly, moments. If you got some improved moments for that one, we didn't in this session. I think we've cleaned our database, but those would show up as well. I'll scroll on down just to show you what that looks like as well. And there's some moments that'll pop up here, and again, all these things are generally clickable, and you can interact with them that way. So that's the sticky panel over here. You can hide it if you don't want to see it, and expand the timeline nodes if you want. You can manually actually collapse if you want to see more or less. You can click and drag as you would need. And then let's actually interact with our timeline itself. So on these controls, there are 3 different levels of granularity that are included: major, minor, and steps. Let me scroll up so we can see a few of these things. So major is in blue, minor is in this purple, and steps are most granular in that in the green. Steps are granular in the sense they are sort of play by play. Player X did this, player Y did that, and so on. Minor is an aggregation, a summary of a handful of steps, and then major is a summary of the minors. Generally, there's about 2 to 3 major beats per session. That can scale up and down with sort of the semantic density and the craziness that happens in your sessions, but roughly around 2 to 3. Well, there's quite a bit more steps, and then minor beats are bridging in between. You can toggle to hide elements that you don't really have interest in. And so in this case, we just left major beats on there so I can look through some of these and maybe extract some themes and things that might be interesting. And of course, you can collapse and hide them as you would like. And so that works pretty well. You can then edit the timeline also, toggle edit mode on. You can see then the trash can has showed up here, as well as this option, which is a reordering option. There's a click and drag interface. It'll actually let you know where you're going to be dropping it. You can just click and release to make that happen. I'm not going to mess with our personal campaign, but that's how you would do it. And then if you want to edit something, just click into it and just type in as you see fit. All right, something you've likely seen as well are these highlighted entities in the summaries and also in our timeline as well. They're really scattered throughout Archivist and your campaign. These are tags, right? Really, this is that campaign wiki being built in data relationships. We'll actually walk through some of that in the data studio later in this video. But this is really creating those links and preview cards, and I'll just demo that real quick. If you hover over it, you can get a quick preview as to what that entity is that links your story together. Now, tags can be edited and adjusted as you would like as well. So just to demo that very quickly, I'm going to click on a tag. Oops. I'm going to click on the tag. And let's just remove that. That's as easy as it is. Now, if you want to add one, if it's an entity that already exists by the perfect name as it's written, it's going to be auto found, and you can just click there, and that creates it. Now, if there's one that, let's actually use this. If there's one that there wasn't a perfect match found, hit new, custom link, and then type in the text. In this case, it actually was looking for the full first and last name match. It just popped up right there. Let's type that, hit save. Done as well. Now you can play with this. You can create other tags, and if say you can tag to you can link to a moment, or a moment is a session highlight for your story. If there's certain keywords that you want to link to that moment itself, you can go ahead and do so in that same way. Highlight the text you would like, or you could actually use this double bracket feature, and we list this here to create a link manually. So anyway, go ahead and have fun, create those tags as you see fit. We will automatically create a lot of those tags during session review and give you tools to manage that in addition. And I actually realized I forgot one element of editing your timeline, that is adding nodes. This is hidden behind another toggle just because there's a lot of UI impact to this. All these insertion rows, as we call them, have these 2 buttons in here to add a step or add a minor beat in various spots. As you scroll on down, again, there's a lot going on here, so we hide it behind that node button. But you should be able to add effectively more nodes to your story as you would like. If you want to add another major, you can do so in some key spots. We limit exactly what you can do in various areas to ensure that the data hierarchy is preserved, and that the major beats are the parents of minor beats, which are the parents of steps, and so on. And you can't have a major beat directly to a step. You have to keep that hierarchy managed. But regardless, you should be able to do and make edits as you would see fit. So that is timeline and making edits. Another element I will call out just lastly before I move on to other pieces is that you can use this to snap around and get through your sessions, or really see sessions within your story. If you had just ran a session, you uploaded something, you will actually also see the status symbols of where your session is in that review process, whether it's being, say, transcribed or analyzed or ready for your review, also in this list here, and also down below in the accordion sort of timeline view itself. We don't have that in this case. We're up to date on our reviews, but that's where you would see it. I'm not covering session review in this video because there's other videos for that. You should be able to find them on Archivist Academy, but that's one way you can get to session review and also know you have a session to be reviewed as well. So that's everything on timeline. Look out for other videos, and if you have questions at all based on something I didn't cover in this video for timeline, dropping a note, submit a ticket, join Discord again, and let us know what you think. All right, well, let's go ahead and look at a session details page, separate from the timeline view here, which is looking at your entire structured outline for your entire campaign and thus all your sessions. There are dedicated pages for each individual session if you want to deep dive a specific session itself. So to get to that, you can use the Game Sessions tab in your sticky panel on the right. Again, if you click any one of these, you'll scroll to it. But really, the way to enter it is from this clickable link, which is the session title up top, or even this symbol here. So yeah, let's go ahead and do Madison the Jungle. Click into there, and that'll open up your session details page. So to get oriented, a few things you can see here. the session title, the date, the end time that the session took place. There are some symbols up here if you want to edit or view your transcript. So you can just click this to download it. If you want to edit the title or the summary, just click into this. You can go ahead and make a bunch of changes similar to how you would do that on the timeline view. Again, just type them in, adjust your tags as you see fit. And then we'll actually do the session handout in just a moment. So we'll come back to that. Other elements here on the left-hand side are your entities. Who and what was present in the session itself. So entities here being your characters, all these characters here, factions, and then locations that were part of your session. All of these are clickable links. If you click into this, it'll go to the character detail page for, say, Eldrick Fireheart. This is your session summary. Again, you got the same preview cards as you scroll through it. Can be edited, like I mentioned above, clicking this this symbol up top. And then at the bottom are the moments from that session. So this is, the key highlights that the AI picked up or you reviewed during session review and discovered to make sure you're highlighting the elements of your session that are worthy of being remembered and to recall with your players. And they're all listed here in chronological order. They can be edited just as many other things can. Hit the pencil to edit it. You can add characters, factions, locations to be tagged to it. You can add the tagging, the same elements that we had previously reviewed. So I should also mention there are some filtering options here to filter down and kind of focus on what you specifically want to view. So let me actually spend a couple minutes going through the session handout feature. Now, this is probably one of our most popular features. Really, if you just click this button, you have an option to create a formatted 2-page PDF that can be shared and sent to your party. You can download it. You can print it out. It's already formatted and ready to go. So as you saw there, I had one click to start generating the content. It's doing this in real time, just streaming with the call. And it includes a session summary. You can see here, there's an outline, sort of more of a structured view. It's going to pull in some moments that it believes to be important. And it's, again, from the previewed list that you had, or the list that you had approved during your session review. Down below, it's going to have a couple elements of any sort of conflict or confrontation. At the top, key entities that were included, 3 spotlights for your PCs generally, any notable items included, valuable information learned by the party status, and the next steps. It's a lot of detailed information. Folks have really enjoyed this and passing it to their players, or even just as a nice recap of what really happened. You do have the option to edit it too. You can go to Markdown Source. You can click the pencil here to edit. We do have a caution there because we have this clean 2-page format. If you edit things, just be cautious and know that it could expand to a 3rd page. But you can go ahead and just edit this as you would like. I'm not going to do that here, but you can play with it and have fun. I'll go back here, and again, you can download the Markdown, you can generate a PDF, you can email it to your players that you already have linked within Archivist. And lastly, I'll say there's actually a couple themes we have. So if you have a certain style that fits for your campaign better, the default is Parchment, but there's Nightwire, that's sort of this black, dark, almost like cyberpunk type theme, different color palette, and then also Azure Light, which is sort of a lighter, cleaner, crisper look. I kind of think of like a paladin kind of theme for some reason. But anyway, same content, just styled differently for whatever fits your campaign. So again, that's the session handout feature. Let me close out of here, and I will go back to Questonomicon. And I'll also just call out when we're back here, other ways you can generate this is actually from all of this little symbol here, right next to the session name in the sticky panel, does the same thing. So if I was to click on that, same idea, it's going to generate handout. And actually in this time, you can change the theme anytime. If you want to select the moments in particular, otherwise the AI will choose it for you, just toggle that on, hit generate handout, and it'll open up this dialog box. You can go ahead and just pick any 3 moments that you would like, and then generate the rest of the handout. I won't do that here, so you don't have to watch me go ahead and do that, but you do have that flexibility to do so. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the entities. In this case, that's the characters, factions, and locations of your campaign. Click on characters. Right when we open up characters, it's going to show all the characters from your story. Now, just as a reminder, if you're not familiar, what Archivist is doing as it's combing through your sessions is it's automatically extracting entities that are part of your campaign and part of your sessions. So if Amadeus Delamore is part of that, he's going to naturally be flagged by the AI. That's going to pull together a description for him. You'll be able to review that in session review. Again, that's a separate video, so I won't go through it here, but it's automatically pulling out those entities. It's going to characterize them as a character or a faction or a location, and very soon items will be included as well. And so it's automatically done. That said, you can create other ones as you would like if you want to do that manually. As a reminder, you can do that via this speed dial up here, and the second one is add a new character. But just to get oriented on this page, these are dedicated cards for each of your characters. There is a character page we'll go to in a moment. They're expanded by default to show an image if you have one, or not if you don't. It can be quite a bit if you have a long or sizable campaign, as our group does. But if you want to see more of a condensed view, you can get rid of that and sort of look in a table or list view here, easier to review. And then you can use open search to type in a certain character you want. You can sort by name or last appearance. And then also you can just, highlight just your PCs if you want to focus on your story mates. Now let's go ahead and just click into a character. Let's go ahead and do Boreas Icefade just for fun. So there's a dedicated character page. That's for every single character and really every entity in your session, in your campaign. There's the name. There's going to be an image again if you added one or if you generated one. The description is going to be automatically updated and created as well and reflected here. There's some buttons I just want to draw attention to. If you want to generate a new description or just new image, you can. You can upload your own. You can download it. You can make a card, which I'll talk about in a moment, and then you can delete the image as well if you don't want to. Down below are moments. Now, there's no moments that actually flag Boreas in the story, so let's go back just so I can demo that quickly. Or maybe I'll pick one of our PCs. Let's go to Braun. So Braun, being one of our PCs, has quite a long description. We've about 30 sessions, and so he's done quite a bit. He's playing the game quite well, and it's been a lot of fun. Again, same idea, image, description, all the actions you have down here, and then below are all the moments. So these are highlights from sessions and thus the whole campaign where Braun has played an integral part in that story. We will go through moments in more detail a little bit later in this video, but you can make edits to them here that Braun was tagged in, and of course on the moments page as well. And there's some options to filter and kind of narrow down scope if you want to try to find something in particular for this character, in this case, Braun. So one other feature I just want to also call out as well is that we have a trading card generator, digital trading cards, and it's a pretty fun little thing you can do for any of your entities. So let's go ahead and do this here, create a new card. So what's being done actually is the AI is going through the description for the entity, in this case Braun, and it's extracting some helpful and useful information. There's just one theme now. We'll have some more themes coming out quite soon. But you can see there's the stylized, almost like a parchment theme, similar to the session handout. This is sort of a parchment theme for the card, pulling in the photo, the name, an element of level, race, and class if it's included in the description, and then a really brief summary, and then 2 elements of being able to call out or highlights or callouts. So all this, of course, is editable. You can crop the image, you can adjust it and massage it to your needs. I won't go into the weeds on that right now. But just know there's also some drop downs if you want to add some elements here. If one thing really speaks to you, or if you just want to customize your own, you can just go to write your own, hit edit, and just type in whatever you would like. If you don't want to have these things, you can actually just deselect them and remove them. Maybe write a longer description if you want. And also, you maybe have noticed these attributes on the left-hand side. We currently don't capture attributes. I think one day we certainly will, but you can get rid of those if you don't want them, or you can type them in. We default to sort of the D&D 5e stats here, but you can customize whatever you would like. Just type it in naturally and whatever the attributes or scores might be. But yeah, have fun with it. Go ahead and create it. And then a cool thing also is that you can download that. You can also share it in a variety of places here, which also can just be shared on our landing page for public kind of use where no login is needed. But anyway, it's a lot of fun. I actually found a way to download and print one of mine and send it as a gift for one of the players in my party. So yeah, cool, fun way to memorialize your characters or your entities in general within Archivist. All right, let's go ahead and go back and look at the second entity type, which is factions. It's very, very similar. This will be quick, but again, you click on the Factions tab. You'll go ahead and see all of the dedicated cards that are sort of a preview card for the entity. If they have a picture, again, it'll be shown. If they don't, then they won't. The descriptions themselves will vary in length based on how frequent or common the entities appear and are getting updated within your campaign. Similarly, you can view them in list view versus sort of the grid view. You can search again via open text. Sort by name and last appearance, just like you could in the characters tab. Let's go ahead and just look at this one. Be very brief. It's structured the exact same way as the characters. So description, You've got the image here. You can generate your own, upload your own, download. You can actually create a card, just like we did for Braun and previous. And then if there's any moments tag for this entity, in this case, there's not for our campaign, they would be showing up right there as well. So that's factions. We'll quickly go the same thing through locations. Again, the structure is the same, so I won't even do it in as much brief detail as I did for factions. The one thing I will say is there are parent-child locations within Archivist that you can establish. And by doing that, you can then go ahead and sort and filter through parent locations. So one other way you can effectively structure your world, get those relationships built and established, and then filter as you see fit. So that is it on entities. Let's go ahead and move on to moments. So as this loads up, moments are those key highlights in your session and thus your campaign. As you play, the AI is going to extract things that it thinks are important or meaningful or funny, whatever that is, might be memorable for you and your party, and it's going to catalog those. You'll review those in session review, and again, there's a separate video that walks through session review itself, but you're going to find all your moments listed here on this tab, and of course, as we've seen in the various other places as well, like the character tabs or the entity tabs will have moments that that entity is tagged in on their page. Session details page has it for moments within a session, the timeline sticky panel, and so on. But in this case, these are all your moments, and you could scroll what feels like almost forever as more and more load. So I won't do that here, but I will just call out, you can go ahead and edit. You can reorder them if you want to change the chronology. You can filter and look at intersections between entities as well with these drop downs. You can go ahead and get the view that suits for you and your party. If you need to add one and want to create one manually, you can go ahead and do so as well. One fun element that folks have enjoyed looking at the story through is kind of through a character's eyes. So you could look at moments through, say, whoever you would necessarily like. Let's go ahead and use Braun again for this example. And this will automatically filter to moments that just apply to Braun. Same thing we saw on this character page, but you could dig down further and actually filter and look at intersections between entities. So in this case, let's say for a location, let's do, I don't know, let's go Phandalin. And that'll be another filter. And this will pull out moments that have both Braun and Phandalin included here. So there's just a handful where those two are in there, and you can kind of get reminded about what is the history between entity A and B, or in this case, Braun and Phandalin. If you're a DM, this is pretty helpful to understand, what is a history between, say, the adventuring party and a certain location. Is there a thread here that you could pick up and explore down the road? But you can have fun with the filters and get the view or get the recall that you would like. All right, so speaking of recall, I'm actually going to deviate a little bit. Instead of jumping to lore, I actually want to talk about Ask Archivist, which is the name of our campaign chatbot. That is this icon down here that's actually been on every single page and will follow you throughout your journey within Archivist. You click that button, opens a familiar chat interface type window. You can go ahead and type in whatever question is relevant to you in your party. Effectively, Ask Archivist, or Archie as a lot of our users refer to it, knows and is trained on your entire campaign. So you can ask it really questions that are helpful, things like, fact-based. When did the party pick up a certain item? What was the nature of the dialogue between the king and the adventure party early in the campaign? Or it can even help you brainstorm a few things. So I'll demo a little bit right now. Let's say, what is the type of dragon? And players can use this as well, not just GMs. Really, anyone has access to this. And I should also call out, this functionality comes into Discord as well. So if you record live in Discord, you can go ahead and use the ask command, or actually at Archivist within Discord, and access the same knowledge base to recall information. So in this case, just to demo it, what type of dragon are they hunting? The type of dragon they're hunting is the younger red dragon named Haldraxxus. That is accurate. It is true, and there is the young black dragon mentioned later in the quest. So it's trying to be helpful and give some more information. Sort of fact recall is helpful. I like to think about this as, even with our best efforts, and every player, sometimes you're going to just forget a certain plot point, or you might have to take a phone call, whatever that may be. So you can just do that recall instead of having that whole hey DM, remind me of that thing you just said, or you said last session when you did that beautiful exposition. I just can't quite remember it. Archie's got your back. So you can go ahead and query Archie and Archivist to get the answers that you need and have you on your way. Now, I also mentioned brainstorming, and one thing that has been helpful, at least when I found, is our group rotates DMs. And so at times when I get the DM chair again and do my mini arc within our large campaign, I'll often want to do some world building and build an element that makes a lot of sense within the campaign and is something new. And what I'm really getting at here is because Archivist has your campaign knowledge, it can go ahead and source high quality input or output based on the context of what has happened. So a real example is I wanted to add an artificer themed magic shop for the party to visit. And so, I gave it a prompt, said, "Hey, give me a list of 20 shop items for an artificer themed magic shop that fit in the context of this world." And the output quality was pretty darn high. And it was high because it knows the type of equipment that the party is currently wearing and has purchased in the past. It knows the price point. I even asked it as a follow up to have some names that would make sense again with the world we had, and so it's some funny sort of creative ideas that I was able to effectively use as brainstorming fodder and kind of iterate from there. So it saved me quite a bit of time. It was certainly better than sort of a off the shelf LLM out there, which I won't go into detail or name names, but I just found it to be helpful and really cut through some of that noise and get right to something that I could use for my purposes. All right, let's go ahead and proceed to the lore tab. Now, this is the option to go ahead and upload history or lore important documents that are really context for your world that essentially don't take place during a session, but are building that world out for your campaign. So the important thing here is that you can upload documents. I'll walk through that interface in just a moment. And that information is ingested and accessible by Ask Archivist, the chatbot we just walked through. So you can ask questions about those documents, even though that didn't happen during a session. If there's some great history that happened, or a great war in our campaign, this element happened a couple hundred years ago that is impactful to the current world the characters are in now. Ask Archivist is going to know about that, and it's going to be helpful context in any sort of world building or just fact recall. So we just have this one document. It's called The Great War. Once you upload a document, you can actually go in there and edit it as you would like, download, modify, however, whatever fits your needs. Now, similarly, you can look at it in list view. In this case, it's kind of silly because we just have the one. But otherwise, just to upload a document, you've got a few ways to do this. You can link in a file, link a Google Doc, paste raw text in, put in a name. There's a bunch of categories to choose from. All of this is helpful just so the AI knows what element or what is the theme effectively of what is being written in here. And we have a pretty sizable token limit applied to each campaign for you to go ahead and use and add a lot of that context. It's actually 500,000 tokens. So quite a bit of context can be added to your world. There are similar abilities to search and view, which all should be fairly self-explanatory, but it is a nice, helpful, powerful tool to upload that world history. It's really helpful, especially if you are running homebrew or have some deep, context that isn't necessarily out of a structured book or module. So go ahead and use this feature, play with it, and hopefully get a lot of value out of it. All right, let's go ahead and move to the Data Studio. This is a new feature. It is still in beta. I'm going to make this very brief just because we do have a separate video that goes over Data Studio. But I just wanted to call out that those tags that we saw previously when we were looking at those colored backgrounds are visualized in this relationship map we see here in the Data Studio. There's a lot going on. We have some default views. The first one is pretty wide open. My favorite, just if you want to find a place to get started, is to go to the timeline deep dive. That's going to default to your most recent session. In this case, we had session 30 here, and this is plotting your timeline in a linear path, left to right, from start to finish, and then looking at the entities that they appeared or when they appeared along that story. So left is the beginning. In this case, there's a group called the Shipwreck Survivors. That's right when the session started. And as you proceed along through it, you'll see when other entities are appearing through your story. In this case, just one session. This tool gets really powerful though when you start looking at multiple sessions. I'm going to move to story arc. This is actually my truly my favorite view, and just a little visual aid. It goes really left to right, just to follow that arc view. You can zoom in and kind of look at other elements or focus in on exactly what is important or meaningful to you. And you can just add in other, I'm going to go ahead and add in, say, 3 sessions here. If that's, say, a mini arc in your campaign, whole lot of data. And let's go ahead and play with some of these sliders. Reset the view. And here you can see in this mini arc where were entities present in that story or in this mini arc. And it can be helpful to understand like how important maybe was an entity, or maybe you thought it was as you were doing some world building and they only showed up once or twice. You'll see generally your PCs or your common NPCs will have a lot of connections and will be more towards the middle because they're being pulled and all across that timeline view. So anyway, I'm not going to go into more detail here because we have a separate video on this, but it's a lot of fun to visualize your world or your campaign this way, just to expand the view here. It's kind of a fun way to do so. So anyway, that's it for now. If there's other videos that seem interesting or other elements you want to see further explained, go ahead and drop us a comment, and we'd love to do that for you. Thanks so much. Bye.